Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to give you a formula not for math, not for science, but for life. A formula that, if you lock it into your mind and inject it into your heart, can transform every area of your existence. I call it the 3P formula. It stands for purpose, power, and persistence. Let's break it down, but first let me ask you something. Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, I'm meant for more than this? Have you ever felt like there's a fire inside you, but you don't know how to ignite it? Then this is for you. 1. Purpose. The compass of your soul purpose is not a luxury. It's oxygen. It's the reason you wake up in the morning with your heart racing instead of your alarm clock screaming. Purpose isn't found, it's built. Don't wait for lightning to strike. Strike the match yourself. You don't need to know your entire life's mission in one night. You just need to take the next step in the direction that feels right. Purpose evolves as you do, but it must start with clarity. Ask yourself, what breaks your heart? What lights you up? What would you still do if nobody paid you or clapped for you? That's your compass. That's your true north. And listen, when you find your purpose, excuses die. Fear fades, time bends, you move with such energy that obstacles can't keep up. You stop surviving and start living. 2. Power. The fuel that drives everything. Let me make this clear. You were not born weak. You might have been told you're not enough, not smart, not capable, but that was their limitation, not yours. Power doesn't come from your environment. It comes from your decisions. You build power by the standards you set, the thoughts you feed, and the actions you take when no one's watching. There are people with less talent than you doing more than you, simply because they made a decision. They decided to rise. They decided to stop waiting for someone to give them permission. You want to own your power. Then own your identity. No more playing small to make others comfortable. No more shrinking to fit into boxes built by people who never saw your vision. You are not a product of your past. You are the architect of your future. Stop negotiating with your limitations. Stop asking for permission to be powerful. Stand in your truth and unleash it. Power is not domination, it's alignment. When your mind, body, and soul are in sync with your purpose, you become unshakable. 3. Persistence. The unseen edge. Here's the part most people hate, but it's the glue that holds the formula together. Persistence. It's not sexy, it's not loud, but it's the difference between those who dream and those who deliver. You see, talent will get you noticed, passion will get you started, but persistence, that's what takes you to the finish line. There will be days you want to quit. There will be moments where you question everything: your dream, your worth, your path. That's when you must persist, because success isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the shadows. It's forged in rejection, refined in discipline, and proven in repetition. You don't need perfect conditions. You need a resilient decision. Decide that quitting is not in your vocabulary. Decide that setbacks are setups for comebacks. Decide that your commitment will outlast your emotions. Persistence isn't about never falling. It's about never staying down. You fall 7 times, you get up 8. You hear no, 50 times you smile and try 51. You hit a wall, you build a door. That's how champions are made. Putting IE together, so here it is, the 3P formula. Purpose. Power. Persistence. When you live with purpose, you stop drifting and start directing. When you tap into your power, you stop doubting and start dominating. When you practice persistence, you stop wishing and start winning. This isn't just a formula. It's a mindset, a standard, a lifestyle. The world is full of people who talk. What it needs are people who do. Don't just write goals, live them. Don't just seek motivation. Build momentum. Don't just plan your dream, attack it. Final challenge, let me leave you with this. If you died a year from now, what would you regret the most? Not the things you did, but the things you never did because fear had a louder voice than your potential. That ends today. Right now, you've got 2 choices. You can walk out of here inspired for a moment, or you can walk out committed for a lifetime. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. All you need is a decision. Burn the excuses. Light up your potential. Live the 3P formula and become the person you were born to be. Clarity creates confidence. This simple truth has the power to change the way we move through life. When you're unclear, you hesitate, you second, guess yourself, you wonder if you're on the right path, if you're doing the right thing, if you're making the right decision. But when you have clarity, true clarity, you move with purpose. You speak with certainty, you act with conviction, and that changes everything. Clarity is not just knowing what you want, it's knowing who you are, what you stand for, what you're willing to fight for, and what you refuse to tolerate. It's knowing what your values are and how they guide your choices. It's being honest with yourself, brutally honest about your strengths, your weaknesses, your vision, and your mission. When you're clear, you stop chasing everything. You stop comparing yourself to everyone else. You stop getting pulled in 1,000 different directions because you have your own direction. You have a North Star, and no storm can throw you off course for long. Most people live in a fog. They confuse being busy with being productive. They mistake movement for progress. They say yes to things that don't align with their purpose, and then they wonder why they feel overwhelmed, burned out, and disconnected. But clarity cuts through the fog. It allows you to say no without guilt, yes without doubt, and move forward without hesitation. Clarity gives you power, not power over others, power over yourself. When you're clear on what matters most, you no longer need to please everyone. You no longer need to prove anything. You no longer need to operate from fear. You become grounded, focused, unshakable. You can look at an opportunity and instantly know, this is for me or this is not. You can walk into a room, speak your truth, and not flinch if others disagree because your truth is anchored in clarity, not approval. Clarity also simplifies life. You don't waste time on distractions because you recognize them for what they are. You don't stay stuck in confusion because you've already made the decision. You don't wonder what to do next. The path becomes visible the moment your mind gets quiet and your intention becomes loud. But let's be clear, clarity doesn't always come naturally. Sometimes you have to fight for it. Sometimes you have to strip away layers of noise, fear, opinions, and expectations. You have to disconnect from the world and reconnect with yourself. That may mean journaling, reflecting, asking hard questions, walking away from environments that cloud your judgment, or letting go of people who confuse your path. It's a process, and sometimes that process is messy. But it's worth it because once you have clarity, you have a compass. You don't wait for life to tell you where to go. You choose, you lead, you create. You don't follow the crowd, you follow your calling. And when you have clarity in your vision, you will attract the right people, the right opportunities, and the right results. Confidence doesn't come from pretending you have it all figured out. It comes from knowing your direction. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you are grounded in your truth. Clarity removes self-doubt. It kills procrastination. It silences the noise. It lets you move faster, think sharper, and show up stronger. People will notice your presence, your certainty, your energy not because you're louder, but because you're clearer. There's a difference between someone who's trying to impress and someone who knows exactly why they're here. You can't lead others if you can't lead yourself, and you can't lead yourself without clarity. When you're clear, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop drifting and start deciding. You stop being controlled by circumstances and start creating them. Energy flows where focus goes. It's not just a motivational line. It's a law of life. Whatever you give your attention to, you give your power to. Where your focus is, your energy naturally follows. If your focus is scattered, so is your energy. If your focus is negative, your energy drains. But when your focus is directed, your energy becomes a force. It becomes laser sharp. It becomes unstoppable. Every single day, you are feeding something with your focus. You're either feeding your fears or your faith. You're either fueling your doubts or your dreams, and the quality of your life depends on which one you're choosing moment by moment. Most people don't realize how powerful their focus really is. They think life is happening to them, but really, their focus is shaping their reality. What you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, they get bigger. If you focus on solutions, possibilities appear. If you focus on gratitude, you feel rich. If you focus on lack, you feel empty. No matter how much you have, focus is like a magnifying glass. It takes the sun's energy, which on its own is warm, and concentrates it into something strong enough to burn. Your mind is the same. You can let your thoughts drift from topic to topic with mild impact, or you can choose to direct your focus towards something that matters and channel your energy into something powerful. That's how goals get accomplished. That's how dreams become reality. That's how average effort turns into extraordinary results. Distraction is the enemy of growth. We live in a world full of noise, opinions, alerts, and temptations designed to steal your focus. You wake up with big intentions, but the moment your phone buzzes, your mind is hijacked. The moment you compare yourself to someone else online, your energy drops. That's not an accident. That's by design. But the power to reclaim your focus is in your hands. The moment you choose to protect your focus, you protect your energy. And when you protect your energy, you elevate your performance. This isn't about ignoring reality. It's about choosing what reality you want to create. You can focus on the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. You can focus on the setback or the lesson. You can focus on what's missing or what's possible. Either way, your energy responds, your emotions follow, your actions align. Focus creates momentum. One clear target, fully locked in, can do more than 100 scattered intentions. When you focus on one meaningful goal and give it your full energy, you move the needle. You build belief. You create progress that compounds. That's how confidence is built. Not from doing everything, but from doing the right thing with total presence and energy. Your brain has a built-in filter called the reticular activating system. Whatever you focus on, this system looks for more of it. Focus on opportunities and suddenly you see more. Focus on problems and suddenly they're everywhere. This isn't magic, it's biology. But when you understand it, you take control of your lens. You don't just see life, you shape how you experience it. Mastering focus means mastering your state. If you can train your mind to focus on what moves you forward, your vision, your values, your goals, you tap into a deeper level of energy. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with who you are. You stop letting your emotions be dictated by external chaos. You become the one who decides where your attention goes, and therefore where your life goes. You can't control every circumstance, but you can control your focus. You can't always choose what shows up, but you can choose what you zero in on, and in that choice lies your power. Energy flows where focus goes. Decisions shape destiny, not conditions, not circumstances, not luck. Decisions. The direction of your life is not written by your past or determined by your environment. It's carved by the decisions you make every single day. A single decision can change everything. It can alter your path, shift your mindset, break a cycle, or ignite a new chapter. That's how powerful your choices are. Every outcome you're living today is the result of a decision you made or failed to make in the past. And every future you dream of will be created by the decisions you begin to make now. Most people think they're stuck, but they're really undecided. They haven't decided to commit. They haven't decided to change. They haven't decided to cut off the distractions or go all in on what they want. They keep waiting for a sign, a guarantee, or the perfect moment. But clarity comes from movement, and movement begins with a decision. Waiting is a decision in itself, a decision to stay the same. If you don't decide for your life, life decides for you. Real decisions come with commitment. They aren't just wishes or preferences. They aren't maybes or one-day statements. A true decision means you eliminate all other options. You draw a line in the sand and say, this is who I am now. This is what I'm doing. No turning back. That's where transformation begins. That's where momentum is born. That's where you stop hoping and start leading. Every decision, no matter how small, sends a signal to your mind about what kind of person you are. When you choose discipline over comfort, your brain registers that you're someone who follows through. When you choose action over excuses, your identity starts to shift. And identity shapes behavior. Once your identity changes, your habits follow. And once your habits change, your results change. There's no such thing as a neutral decision. Every choice either moves you closer to your potential or pulls you away from it. You choose to grow or you choose to stay. You choose to face fear or you choose to run from it. You choose to speak up or stay silent. And those choices accumulate. They build patterns. They build your character. Over time, they build your destiny. You don't need to know every step before making a decision. You just need to decide to begin. Direction matters more than distance. You can adjust your strategy as you go, but nothing changes until you decide. People overcomplicate success, but it's really just a series of decisions made consistently and courageously. Decisions to show up, to keep going, to believe in yourself when no one else does, to say yes to growth and no to excuses. The quality of your life comes down to the quality of your decisions. The decision to take responsibility instead of blame. The decision to be grateful instead of resentful. The decision to focus on solutions instead of problems. The decision to keep your word to yourself. These decisions, repeated over time, shape your reality. Every person you admire made a decision to rise when it was easier to quit, a decision to believe when doubt was louder, a decision to lead when they didn't feel ready. You have the same power. You don't need permission. You don't need perfection. You just need to decide who you're going to be, what you're going to stand for, and what you're no longer going to tolerate. That's where destiny begins. Discipline outlasts motivation. Motivation is a feeling, fleeting, unpredictable, and unreliable. It comes in waves and disappears without warning. One moment you feel inspired, ready to take on the world, and the next you're exhausted, distracted, or simply not in the mood. That's why relying on motivation alone will always fail you. It's not sustainable. It's not consistent. But discipline is different. Discipline is a decision. It's a habit. It's a muscle that gets stronger the more you use it. When you're disciplined, you do what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. You don't wait for the perfect mood, the right energy, or ideal circumstances. You move forward anyway. Discipline says show up. Discipline says do the work. Discipline says stick to the plan. While others are waiting for motivation to strike, the disciplined are already halfway through. They've learned to master their emotions instead of being ruled by them. The truth is, the most successful people in the world are not the most motivated. They're the most disciplined. They've built systems, rituals, and routines that keep them going regardless of how they feel. They've trained themselves to take consistent action in alignment with their goals. And that consistency compounds. That's how mastery is created. That's how big visions become real. Discipline is what gets you out of bed when the alarm goes off and your body wants to stay under the covers. Discipline is what helps you push through the last reps when your muscles are burning and your mind is screaming to quit. Discipline is what helps you say no to the easy distraction and yes to the harder path that leads to real growth. Motivation might get you started, but discipline is what keeps you going when the excitement fades and the reality of the grind sets in. It's easy to be motivated when things are going well, when the weather is perfect, when people are cheering you on. But discipline shines when things get tough, when no one's watching, when progress is slow, when you feel stuck, tired, and uncertain. That's when discipline becomes your edge. It becomes your anchor. Your weapon, your armor. Discipline builds character. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, even when it's hard, you build self-respect. You build trust with yourself. You prove to your mind that you are not controlled by your moods. You are led by your mission. And when you start operating from discipline instead of emotion, your confidence skyrockets. You're no longer a prisoner to your feelings. You become a leader of your life. Discipline creates freedom. That might sound like a contradiction, but it's the truth. When you're disciplined, you don't live at the mercy of impulses. You're not stuck reacting to life. You're in control. You make progress even in chaos. You create momentum even in resistance, and that kind of freedom, the freedom to live on your terms, is only earned through discipline. Every day you are faced with choices: to stay consistent or give in, to delay gratification or take the shortcut, to show up or shrink back. And it's not about being perfect. It's about choosing the path of discipline more often than not, because those choices become patterns, and those patterns become who you are. Motivation may make you feel good temporarily, but discipline makes you unstoppable. It makes you reliable. It makes you powerful. While motivation fades in the face of adversity, discipline leans in. It doesn't ask how you feel. It reminds you of who you said you'd become. Growth begins where comfort ends. The moment you step beyond what feels safe, familiar, and easy is the moment you start evolving. Comfort zones are seductive. They promise security, predictability, and minimal risk, but they also come with a hidden cost: the slow death of your potential. Nothing great has ever been built inside the boundaries of comfort. Progress demands discomfort. Transformation demands challenge, and growth demands that you lean into the unknown instead of retreating from it. Every breakthrough is born in discomfort: the discomfort of trying something new, the discomfort of failing, of looking foolish, of being stretched beyond your current capacity. But that stretch is where the magic happens. That stretch is where you find strength you didn't know you had, ideas you didn't know you were capable of, and resilience that only emerges under pressure. Growth is not a gift, it's a result. It's earned through repetition, resistance, and rising again after setbacks. Most people settle because comfort feels like control, but it's an illusion. Real control comes when you choose courage over convenience. When you say yes to the hard thing, when you run toward the challenge, not away from it. Every time you do, you expand your limits, you raise your threshold. You shift your identity from someone who avoids pain to someone who uses it as a pathway to power. Comfort feels good temporarily, but it comes with long-term regret. Growth, on the other hand, can feel painful in the moment, but leads to long-term fulfillment. It's the discomfort of waking up early, of facing the truth, of changing habits, of ending toxic patterns, of pushing your body and mind past resistance. That's not punishment, that's progress, and you don't grow by doing what's easy. You grow by doing what's necessary. There will always be two voices inside you: the one that whispers comfort and the one that demands growth. The first one will tell you to stay where it's warm, to wait for the perfect time, to avoid risk. The second one will tell you to move, to leap, to trust the process even when the outcome isn't certain. The more you listen to that second voice, the louder it becomes, the stronger you become, and soon discomfort becomes your training ground. Challenge becomes your invitation. Fear becomes your compass. Growth requires failure. It requires feedback. It requires frustration, repetition, and humility. You have to be willing to be bad before you can be great. You have to be willing to not know before you can master. You have to let go of ego, lean into the process, and surrender to the lessons. Growth is not glamorous. It's gritty, but it's also what separates those who live on autopilot from those who live on purpose. Every time you do something hard, you rewire your brain. You train your nervous system to stay calm under pressure. You expand your window of tolerance. You prove to yourself that you are more capable than you thought. That's why the hard path is the right path, because it changes you, it upgrades you. It doesn't just give you results. It gives you pride, strength, and character. When you choose growth over comfort consistently, something shifts. You stop chasing ease and start chasing excellence. You stop fearing discomfort and start seeking it. You stop needing external motivation because your purpose becomes your fuel. The struggle becomes sacred. The pain becomes part of the process. The discomfort becomes a sign that you're right where you need to be.